The main character of the story is named Ikki Kurogane, a young man attending a knight training school, and the knights are those who have the ability to create a weapon called Blazer using their magical powers. Ever since he was born, Ikki didn't have a strong magic power like the others, so he trained hard to try not to be inferior to everyone else. But even so, he was still famous as the one who got the F rank in the school. In another development, the princess of Vermilion Kingdom named Stella has come to Japan to attend the knight training school, and she is named as a genius in using Blazer. Ikki had returned to his room after finishing training, and to his surprise he saw Stella changing into her uniform in the room, but he was still very calm. As it turned out, Headmistress Kurono had arranged for the two of them to share a room, but Stella still demanded that Ikki commit suicide by dissecting herself to apologize to her. With no other choice, they decided to settle the matter with a Blazer match, and Stella made a condition that the loser would be enslaved to the victor for life. In the ensuing battle, Stella summoned her fire-type Blazer, and she charged at Ikki with extremely powerful attacks, but Ikki still easily blocked all of her slashes. Not stopping there, Stella summons a flame from her sword to attack Ikki, but Ikki dodges it by using the technique Itu Shura, which allows him to increase movement speed along with other enemies. Before Ikki's tremendous movement speed, Stella's flames could not keep up, and she was quickly completely defeated by Ikki. After waking up in the infirmary, Kurono informed Stella that a knight's rank was based on the Blazer's strength, not the knight's ability. And Ikki's Blazer was of the weak type, so Ikki had to stay at F rank all this time, despite his excellent fighting ability. That afternoon, when she returned to her room, Stella took the opportunity to raid him when Ikki was sleeping, but fortunately Ikki woke up in time. Ikki reminded Stella of the condition that the loser must become the slave of their victor. And Stella was embarrassed to accept being Ikki's servant for the rest of her life, but Ikki just happily asked her to be his roommate. On the first day of school, the teacher informed everyone that a Blazer tournament was about to be held by the school for the students, and the student who won the school's first prize would be sent to participate in the global championship. Country. After school, Ikki met his little sister named Shizuku, and when she saw him, she happily ran over to lock his lips, surprising Stella and everyone around her. As she was about to kiss her again, Stella stopped Shizuku, and when Shizuku asked her what she was to Ikki and stopped her from kissing her brother, Stella ceased to believe that she was Ikki's servant. Upon hearing that, Shizuku angrily pulled out her water-type Blazer to attack Stella, and Stella immediately pulled out her fire-type Blazer as well. However, their fight caused a huge explosion that shook the whole school, so Kurono forced the two girls to clean the toilets on the first day of school. Later that day, Stella talked to Ikki, and he brought his painful past to her to tell her about. As it turned out, Ikki was originally the grandson of a legendary samurai named Ryoma Kurogane, and the Kurogane family lineage for generations has always produced excellent Blazer knights. But since birth, Ikki does not have a powerful source of magic like the others. Because of that, Ikki was always estranged from his parents and family members, and after a while he couldn't stand it, he ran away from home to pursue his path of becoming a knight. However, as soon as they learned that Ikki had been accepted into this school, the Kurogane family used their influence to force the principal not to let him graduate to become a knight. It wasn't until Kurono became the headmaster that ended. Shizuku invited Ikki to go shopping with her, but Stella demanded to go too, so Shizuku also brought along a roommate named Alice. While Ikki and Alice went to the bathroom to wash their face, the mall was suddenly attacked by terror, but fortunately Alice helped Ikki escape with his shadow control Blazer. Everyone is being held hostage by the terrorists, and Stella tries to use her powers to fight them. However, the leader of the terrorists was also a Blazer user, and his strength was in absorbing the enemy's attacks in his left hand and then deflecting the attack with his right hand, so he easily defeats Stella with her own power. Meanwhile, Shizuku was mixing with the hostages, and she created a protective film of water to wrap everyone inside, making it impossible for the terrorists to attack them. Realizing the opportunity to counterattack had come, Ikki jumped down from the roof to overwhelm them, and he cut off the leader's right arm with a single slash. One of them captured an old woman and asked them to release the leader, but someone shot down all the terrorists with arrows, and the one who shot those arrows was Kirihara, a student from the same school as them. Ikki went to thank Kirihara for helping them, but he even looked down on Ikki just because he was F rank. And while they were talking, Ikki suddenly received a text message from the school informing that the opponent was a rival. His first in the school Blazer competition was Kirihara. Stella easily defeated her first opponent, and Shizuku and Alice also made it to the next round. However, Ikki is very worried about his opponent Kirihara, as he has the ability to completely stealth and use bows and arrows to shoot down enemies from afar, and his fighting style is what counters it. Completely Itu Shura of Ikki. Finally, the moment he had to face Kirihara had arrived, and as soon as he entered the battle, he summoned a giant forest and used his stealth skill to disappear into the forest. Kirihara used his bow to attack Ikki, but he deflected all of his arrows and followed the bullet's path to attack him. However, Kirihara quickly caused his arrows to disappear as well, and when Kirihara's bullets and location could no longer be seen, Ikki was shot by him without taking a shot. A defensive opportunity. Seeing Ikki being laughed at by Kirihara and the other students, Stella stood up and shouted to cheer him up. And thanks to her words of encouragement, Ikki was able to get up to continue fighting. Ikki calmly analyzed Kirihara's attack positions and voice, so he quickly sensed the bullet's trajectory and successfully parried his attacks. After tracking the bullets fired, Ikki gradually discovered Kirihara's location. So he fled in panic from Ikki, who was frantically hunting him like a wild animal, and he surrendered before being slashed by Ikki's sword. Because of so many fatal wounds, Ikki also fainted, and soon after regaining consciousness he suddenly confessed to Stella to her surprise, but in reality she also had feelings for Stella. With you for a long time. Since his win against Kirihara, Ikki had quickly become popular, so the girls in his class surrounded him all the time, and that made other lonely youths feel very uncomfortable. The girls asked Ikki to train them in swordsmanship, so he opened a kendo club to train them. The young men in the school were annoyed by the sight of Ikki surrounded by girls, so they came to quarrel with him. However, Ikki defeated all of them with just a few hits, and after realizing their mistake, the young men also asked to join Ikki's kendo club. Everyone noticed that a girl had been following Ikki continuously for a week now, and just as Ikki was about to ask her, she panicked and ran away, but she tripped on the railing behind her. Then fell into the lake below. After the girl regained consciousness in the infirmary, she introduced herself as Ace, and it turned out that Ace wanted to ask Ikki to help her practice swordsmanship. However, she was too shy to ask, so she had to follow him for a week now. Ikki agreed to help Ace practice the sword, and during the training he realized that Ace had been practicing the wrong moves for a long time, slowing down the speed of the attack, so he had to help her correct each move, to fit her joints. The next day, while having dinner together, a guy named Kuroda and his juniors came to harass Ace, and it seems that they had a quarrel before. Seeing Ace being disturbed, Ikki asked Kuroda to leave her alone, and he hit him on the head with a bottle of wine for meddling in other people's business, but he still smiled calmly without any problem. Oppose him. When leaving, Ikki asked Ace about her relationship with Kuroda, but before he could answer, Ikki and Ace suddenly received a text message from the school informing them that the two of them would be opponents in the match. Next match. And in the days that followed, Ace was no longer seen with them to practice swordsmanship. However, the night before the match, Ace asked Ikki to meet her on the school's rooftop, and she said that she definitely won't be able to win against Ikki. However, Ace would use any means to win, and as soon as she said that, she threw herself down. Seeing that, Ikki panicked and used Itu Shura to save Ace, and that helped Ace achieve his goal. Because Ikki could only use Itu Shura once a day, while their match would take place in 10 hours. Before the match started, Ikki went to Kurono to inquire about Aya's situation. And according to Kurono's words, 2 years ago, Aya's father, who was a swordsman, was defeated by Kuroda, so all the land and her dojo all fell into his hands, and father, she had lost consciousness after that shock until now. The battle between the two of them finally took place, and as soon as they entered the battle, Ikki rushed to attack Ace directly, but she barely touched the hilt of her sword and Ikki was slashed all over the place. Body. Ikki quickly realized that Ace had set traps throughout the arena before the battle. And setting traps completely violated the rules of the contest, but he still didn't denounce her. Even though she had the advantage from before, Ace still couldn't fight Ikki because she had lost her composure. And after a decisive slash, she was completely defeated by Ikki. Seeing that Aya's spirit had completely collapsed, Ikki went to give her words of encouragement, and she desperately begged for Ikki's help. Ace led Ikki and Stella to challenge Kuroda to reclaim the dojo. But defeating him is not an easy thing because he was in the top 8 strongest in the national tournament last year. When the battle started, Kuroda pulled out his blazer, which looked like a snake, and he attacked Ikki with tremendous speed, due to his ability to react quickly. Double a casual blazer. However, Ikki was delighted to fight an opponent as strong as Kuroda, and the more he fought, the stronger he became, while Kurado was gradually exhausted from using high-speed attacks. After a tense battle with each other, the two of them unleashed a decisive blow to defeat their opponents, and Ikki used a move from Ayaza's father he learned from her to attack. Public Kurado. After the clash of two swords, Kurado fell while Ikki was still standing, and he admitted his defeat and agreed to return the dojo to father and son Ace. When she returned to school, Ace admitted that she cheated in the school competition, and her father also regained consciousness after being bedridden for a long time. Ikki, Stella, and Shizuku had won 12 consecutive matches in the tournament, so the newly loved couple decided to go on a vacation together for a few days. But when they were climbing the mountain together, Stella suddenly had a high fever, so Ikki had to take her to a wooden house in the forest. A giant stone human suddenly appeared and destroyed the wooden house, but fortunately Ikki used Itu Shura to save Stella. And Ikki rushed to cut the stone human into 100 pieces, but it revived into hundreds of smaller stone humans, and they quickly surrounded the two of them. Fortunately, the school student council accidentally showed up and saved them, and the strongest person in their school also appeared here, the student council president Tuka. Thanks to her lightning power, Tuka quickly swept away the small stone people, and she delivered an extremely powerful thunderbolt to crush them all. Meanwhile, Shizuku received a text message announcing her next opponent, and that person was the student council president Tuka. Everyone was worried about Shizuku because her opponent was too strong, and according to Ikki's research, Tuka was the one who won 4th place in last year's national tournament. Finally, the day of their match came, and they were both aware that their opponents were strong, so they both gave their best from the first seconds of the match. While Shizuku was standing still to watch, Tuka suddenly teleported in front of her to attack her, and with Toka's lightning speed of movement like that, she couldn't keep up. In the stands now, Ikki realized that Tuka didn't teleport in front of Shizuku, but she erased her presence for a moment, making it undetectable to Shizuku. I am being approached. And in front of a strong opponent like Tuka, Shizuku was quickly defeated. Waking up in the infirmary, Shizuku was upset that she had lost her 12-match winning streak, and that meant she wouldn't be able to participate in the national tournament this year. But Alice encouraged her that she did her best in the match against Tuka anyway. During a walk together in the park, Ikki and Stella kissed, and someone followed and took pictures of the two of them. They were later invited to the student council, and when they arrived, Toka's image was completely different from what they had imagined. Although she is a strong knight in the arena, in everyday life Tuka is a very gentle girl. And the reason she invited them over was to help her prepare food for the children in the orphanage. They had returned to the dormitory after finishing work at Toka's place, and Shizuku and Alice had hurriedly informed the two of them that someone had written a report about the two of them having a dark relationship. Suddenly, a fat guy who works for Ikki's father came to them, and he asked Ikki to return to the Kurogane family headquarters to answer questions about the rumors of an affair with Stella. However, they just finished the interview, and their main purpose was to imprison Ikki to drain his strength. While everyone else's battles are held in the arena, the big guy asks the school to send Ikki's opponent to fight in the prison. And after the intense battles, they continued to torture his spirit, causing his strength to decline day by day. Unable to stand it any longer, Ikki asked to see his father to defend himself, and unexpectedly when he came to see me in person, he repeatedly insulted Ikki with cruel words. Even so, Ikki continued to win in prison until the final qualifying match, so the Kurogane clan decided to let him fight Tuka. And they were sure that he wouldn't be able to defeat Tuka in this state. Tuka also knew about Ikki's current state, so she asked Shizuku to advise him to give up this match. But Shizuku knew well that Ikki would never give up. On the day of the match against Tuka, the big guy didn't let the car wait for Ikki but forced Ikki to run to the competition site by himself to wear down his strength. But he kept running until he met his friends. Shizuku, Stella and the others from the Kendo Club welcomed Ikki's return. And when Ikki saw that Stella had been selected as one of the school's representatives for the national competition, Ikki was shocked in his spirit. Despite carrying many wounds and an exhausted body, Ikki is determined to defeat Tuka, and Tuka will also respect Ikki and fight with 100% of her strength. When the battle had just begun, Ikki immediately used Itu Shura because he wanted to end the battle in a single blow, and on the other side Tuka would also use up his full strength. The two rushed at each other like beasts, and after the two swords collided, Tuka collapsed at Ikki's feet. The referee declared Ikki the winner, and the fat guy was so angry when he saw that he won, so he took an axe to beat Ikki on the ring. But Stella appeared from behind and sent him flying. As soon as he met Stella again, Icky immediately proposed to her to everyone's surprise, and Stella happily agreed. In Icky's father's office now, the King of Vermilion called to ask him not to make a big deal about Stella and Icky's love affair, so the two of them had a peaceful time afterwards. Icky, Stella, and Alice were all selected as representatives of the school to compete in the national tournament, and the school chose Icky as the team leader in the support of all students. Thank you for watching the full video review. I will leave other videos of the channel here, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell button to receive notifications of the latest videos.